Hello, everyone. Welcome to Educast's second conference on professional development for educators, where the pursuit of excellence in teaching goes beyond conventional boundaries. As Victor Hugo once remarked, quote, "He who opens a school door closes a prison," end quote. This sentiment encapsulates the transformative power of education. And our conference aims to empower educators in unlocking the doors to boundless opportunities. In the realm of professional development, it's not just about refining teaching techniques. It's about fostering an environment where educators can continuously learn and adapt. Education is not a static destination. It's an ever-evolving journey. As we convene to explore the nuance of this dynamic profession, Educast emphasizes the need for educators to stay abreast of global challenges and advancements in pedagogy. In the spirit of lifelong learning, this conference serves as a platform for educators to delve into current debates and emerging trends, equipping them with the tools needed for their professional growth. Understanding the complex interplay between teaching methodologies and the unique challenges students face in language learning is paramount. Educast recognizes that an enlightened and conscious educator is a catalyst for positive change in the field of English language learning. Join us on this enlightening journey of professional development. Let us not merely open doors, but create a learning ecosystem where educators can thrive, evolve, and inspire. And now, I'd like to turn the virtual stage over to our conference manager, who is a highly regarded figure in the field of ELT and teacher training, particularly known for his work with Educast International, an organization he founded to empower educators all over the globe. Known for his passion and engaging style, is a sought-after speaker and has received positive testimonials for his dedication to professional development. He stands as a prominent figure in the global English language teaching community, recognized for his expertise and Educast's impact on teachers worldwide. Mr. Mohammed Nabil has a few words to say.
Well, can everyone hear me? Hello, everyone. Is my voice clear? Could you please type something in the chat box? Okay, very good. So let's get started. Distinguished colleagues, esteemed presenters, and valued attendees, I extend a most cordial welcome to each of you. It's with immense honor and profound gratitude that we convene for this second global gathering of minds, ignited by a shared passion for education and a collective pursuit of excellence. Let me tell you about Educast International. Educast is an international educational organization that aims to share knowledge with teachers and learners through various means. Our work in teacher development is guided by five core values: continuous improvement, equity, collaboration, innovation, and integrity. We are committed to supporting educators in their professional growth, promoting equity in education, working together to find solutions, embracing innovation, and conducting our work with integrity and ethics. Our vision is to make education affordable and obtainable for people from all backgrounds. Our effort is to always bring forward the latest methodologies of teaching for every teacher. We want to ensure that they are equipped with the knowledge of established as well as up and coming techniques of teaching. The goal is to make the educator proficient and globally viable. The organization's mission is to empower teachers around the globe by providing them with professional development opportunities via international and regional conferences, webinars, and podcasts. The virtual conference titled Learning to Lead, Empowering Educators Through Professional Growth transcends geographical boundaries and unites us in a vibrant tapestry of expertise. We come together not merely as participants, but as architects of change, poised to redefine the landscape of education through collaborative learning and transformative discourse. The theme of this conference resonates deeply with the current complexities confronting educators in the ELT domain. We acknowledge the global challenges and issues at play, and through insightful presentations, dynamic workshops, and open dialogue, we aim to equip ourselves with the tools and strategies necessary to navigate these dynamic landscapes. Our agenda promises to be a symphony of knowledge resonating with the wisdom of renowned keynote speakers, the ingenuity of innovative practitioners, and the collaborative spirit of our esteemed presenters. Each session represents a unique opportunity to explore best practices, share practical solutions, and fuel the engine of professional development. Whether you are a seasoned veteran or an inspiring leader, this platform offers a fertile ground for personal and professional growth. We encourage you to engage in meaningful discussions, forge enduring connections, and embrace the power of collective expertise. Let us learn from one another, challenge our assumptions, and ignite a spark of innovation that will eliminate classrooms around the world. Before we start, let me tell you about this conference. This conference comes to you organized by Educast International and sponsored by Cambridge, Macmillan Education, and British Training Center in Egypt. And now, let's not waste time and get started with pre-conference day one. So, Noor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you please, tell the people about our first speaker today?
Yeah, okay. Okay, she's heavily involved in PD, and her current roles include the IAT TEFL Global Issues Month Coordinator, the past chair of the TESOL International Professional Development Professional Council, and a member of the Womentorship and ELT Committee. She's also serving as a TESOL International New Member Guide. Hind is a British Council Elan Awards judge, and she served as a National Geographic um, advisor for the development of a new academic skills series in 2020. Hind's former roles include the executive secretary at Africa ELTA, acting vice president of TESOL Sudan, and professional development coordinator at KSAL TESOL Kingdom of Saudi Arabia Association for English Language Teachers. Some of her achievements include being selected as a TESOL International 2021 Leadership Monitoring Program Award recipient and a TESOL International Convene Ambassador. Hind's latest achievement is being nominated as a candidate for one of the positions on the nominating committee on the 2024 TESOL International ballot. Her research interests include student engagement differentiation and 21st century teaching and employability skills. And today, Hind is talking about inspiring educators, exploring the potential of communities of practice for growth.
Yeah, well, I think I can see Hind here. Yeah, she's been here for a long time as a guest. Hello, Hind, how are you doing? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Oh,
Can you
you're
hear me now?
muted. Yeah,
Yeah,
hello, how are you
hi.
doing?
I'm
Hi.
great. I'm very happy to be here today, and I look forward
Yeah,
to
the
the
same
event.
here.
Thank
Yeah, great.
you.
That's right. That's good. Yeah, what a long and wonderful introduction to Hind. She's been really
Thank
passionate
you.
about education and spreading the positive energy everywhere in the community of ELT, not locally but globally. Yeah,
Thank
she's a
you so much.
great person and a great presenter as well. So we have the honor to have you as the first presenter in this conference this year, Hind.
Thank you
So
so much.
yeah, my pleasure. So whenever you're ready, the floor is all yours.
Great, great. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here,
Pleasure.
and I'd just like to start by sharing my screen. Um, let's share. Okay. Sharing your screen. Okay, is my screen showing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Oops. All right. Okay, great. I'll just. Is the slide showing now?
Um, We can still see your sharing screen, share device audio, optimize for video. Yes, now, oh yeah, now we can see the background. Yeah, now we can see the presentation. Very good.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm ready to start. Once again, thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor to be here, and I'm very happy. All right, so my presentation is Inspiring Educators, Exploring the Potential of Communities of Practice for Growth. So first, I'm going to start by talking about a community of practice. What is a community of practice? A community of practice is a group of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do, and they learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. And this is an example of a community of practice right now. People connecting from different parts of the world, sharing information, learning, and this is a great example of a community of practice. The idea of communities of practice was proposed in the 1990s by Etienne Wegner, who was an educational theorist and practitioner. So before I get into a community of practice, what do you know about communities of practice? And I'd like you to mention if you are part of any community of practice. And if you are, can you please tell us what your community is? And you can start by scanning the QR code, and then we will discuss your responses. So 2 minutes, if you can just scan the QR code, or you can just type menti.com and put in the code, and that will take you to the link. And then it's a word cloud. So we'll just look at different options and learn about different communities of practice as well. Okay. Are you able to access the Mentimeter?
Could you please try to send the link in the chat box for an easier access,
Okay,
to
sure.
the platform? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you able to access it now? I shared it in the chat box. Oh, okay. Somebody wrote, I love cars. Okay, great. Now I can see communities of practice. I just want to make my slide bigger. And, oh yeah, Tisel, Turkey. Ayatollah, Ukraine. Okay. English Club. Yeah, English Club WhatsApp group. That's a great group. Tisel, Turkey. Great. Can we have a few more? I love these word clouds because they look really nice. Okay. I think I can see people typing. Okay, yeah. Oh, Azerbaijan clubs, math. Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, these are all communities of practice. Thank you. All right, can you see the responses on the screen?
Yes,
Gate
everyone
via
can see them. Yeah, everyone can
awesome.
see them on the screen. Yeah, there are a lot of community practice, communities of practice here on the screen.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm glad you can see them. English teachers in Peru. So you can see so many different countries, Peru, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Turkey. Gate. Oh, that's a new one. I'll check it out. So great. Thank you very much for your responses. And yes, these are all examples of communities of practice. Okay, I'll just go back to my slide. All right, so we're going to talk about the origins of communities of practice. Wegner stated that we all learn on the job. So when you start a job, just by learning, by observing people, by practicing, that is how we learn. And sometimes we're in the core. The core area is like people who are actually doing all the work, the people who are actually basically running the association or the community of practice. And sometimes we're in the core, sometimes in the periphery or fringes of the practice. So as you can see, new members are on the border, the red circle, and this is where learning takes place. And then people eventually start moving from the core to from the periphery to the core. Situated learning is then the area where people start engaging with one another. And while we, during that process, we learn, we get information from other people. People tell you more about the association. You start getting more interested and you get closer to the core. By engaging with other members or learners within the community, we gradually move from the fringes towards the core. And it's, the community, people who work, who are part of the association, people who have been there before you, people who are more experienced. A good example is TESOL International Association. So many people reached out to me and said, oh, why don't you join one of the committees? Why don't you take on a leadership role? And then slowly, eventually, you start moving closer to the core. So a community, we have communities of practice everywhere. Some of them are formal, some are informal, some at work, at home, and in some groups we are core members and others we are at the margin. And we're going to talk about the different levels of participation later on. It's very interesting how we just move from like local associations. So you either start with your local association and then move to a bigger organization like TESOL International, or the other way around. You start with TESOL International and then you start exploring your own local affiliate. Okay, I need to make my screen a bit bigger. So we said that we're all part of communities, and sometimes we're not actually consciously aware of our engagement. In staff rooms, we're part of communities of practice. Corridors, where teachers discuss teaching strategy or situation. These are all considered to be communities of practice. They can happen everywhere, but we know that the obvious context is the workplace. But today we have Twitter groups, we have WhatsApp, Facebook. There's so many different types of communities of practice. And this is where educators share best practices, learn from one another, connect with people around the world, and there's so many of them. So communities of practice are not the same. They're not all the same. And we also need to know that not every community is a community of practice. A neighborhood is a community, but it's not a community of practice. So what makes a community of practice? A community of practice has three main elements. Number one, a domain, which is an area of shared interest and key issues. So for example, for us right now, as English language teachers, as part of Educast, our main area of interest is English language teaching, learning about new teaching strategies, and connecting with people or educators around the world. So the domain is the shared interest, which is English language teaching. The community, also what we're doing now, people connecting, building relationships, discussing ideas, activities, sharing experiences, and learning together. And practice is a body of knowledge, methods, stories, tools, podcasts, I'm sure that if you check the website, you'll find so many different webinars, podcasts, documents, tools, resources. That is the practice. So these are the main things that make a community of practice. So, according to Etienne Wagner, communities of practice are a group of people who share a concern, which is a domain, or a passion for something they do, and they learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. So just by practicing, by attending webinars, by getting more involved in a community of practice like TESOL or IATEFL or Educast, and just interacting regularly. And what we mean by interacting regularly is the community. People interact, communicate, send messages, webinars, join research papers, publishing books together. So that is the community. So I'm going to talk about each one of them in a little more detail. So the domain is a group of people who are, it's not just a group of people who are together, but they share a common area of interest. And that's really important because I love attending conferences, presenting, learning new teaching strategies, and that is something that I like to do for fun. Some people don't get that and they think that I'm not having a great time, but I am. So you need to have people who share the same interest, who will really understand that I'm not working. This is something that I like to do for fun, something that really motivates me. And I like to call it my ikigai. So members need to be committed to the domain and be competent, and that's what makes them different and unique. Some people who take it seriously, people who are part of a community of practice, people who understand what being part of a community of practice is, the benefits, how you feel about it, and that is very important. Community, members collaborate. They have joint discussions, what we're doing right now. They share ideas. They help and support each other and build relationships. And I remember during the pandemic, being part of different communities of practice was so important because it was very challenging to learn about online teaching, navigating different platforms, understanding how to engage students in an online classroom. So it's really, this is a community. This is where people come together. TESOL International has the TESOL Lounge Live, which is a great platform where educators connect and share ideas and learn from each other and have a great time. And finally, as we said, the practice, which is members who are sharing resources, experiences, webinars, online events, conferences, a body of knowledge, methods, stories, tools developed. It's just an ongoing process. So another way to look at it, when we talk about the domain, we can talk about joint enterprise, community, mutual engagement, practice, shared repertoire. All of these things form a community of practice. So communities of practice are a basic way that humans accomplish work, and these are the main features of a community of practice. So again, mutual engagement, interacting with each other, forming different types of groups, and we find it's very interesting how we move from different communities of practice depending on our areas of interest. It could be linked to our jobs, if our jobs change, or we're teaching different types of students, our interest changes or gravitates towards something different. And just by interacting with other people, interacting with different groups, interacting with other members, you get to learn about different possibilities and different ways to get involved. Members establish norms, and they develop supportive relationships, help each other, empower empower each other along the way. There's a common purpose that binds people together. Everybody has a unified goal. Everyone is there for English language teaching. I'm talking about this specific community practice. Establishing a shared understanding and a domain, and finding different ways to engage with everyone. And also, as we mentioned previously, shared repertoire, which is the continual development and maintenance of shared procedures. So if I have a community practice, I need to keep engaging the audience. I need to have different things like webinars, online events, book clubs, different things, different procedures, skills, and techniques. So the community builds its own set of resources and data, and it's shared, of course, among members. So now I'm going to share another link. I'll share it in the chat box this time. Why do people join communities of practice? So I'm just going to share the link here. Yeah, let's go to Jamboard. So this is a Jamboard link, and I hope you managed to access it. I'll just share it in the group, and let's hope it works. Right. Okay, so this Jamboard, when you click on the link, you on the top. Okay, my view is a little different. I'll just go to the, yeah. If you just tap on the fourth icon, you'll find a notepad, and then you can just write your comment on the notepad. You can change the colors as well to make it very colorful. And okay, are you able to access the Jamboard document? Yes, awesome. So why do people join communities of practice? So I can see boxes, yet 2 yellow boxes. So you can just type your response inside. You can change the colors as well. Oh, I don't have access, so I can't change the colors. So you can tap and type using the keyboard. It makes it easier to type like this. Yes, great. Oops. Okay, so we need, okay, learning, collaborating, peer feedback, exactly. It looks like everyone likes yellow. All of the squares are yellow. To share resources, exactly. Collaboration. Yeah, Jamboard, okay, we got blue, pink, okay, different colors now, thank you. More PD opportunities, engaging for engaging languages, sharing knowledge, peer feedback, exactly. So people can join these communities of practice for different reasons. Somebody might just join a community of practice for just one specific goal, and then just, they just leave. Some people like to, go up the ladder to learn, share ideas. I like the green, exchange thoughts. Thank you very much. We love the presentation. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, actually Jamboard is a bit funny at the beginning. If it's your first time, it's very difficult to navigate, but then when you get the hang of it, it's just great. But the sad news is that it's not going to be active. I don't know when, but I heard that it's not going to be active anymore. So that's bad. But yeah, to learn, share ideas and thoughts, exchange opinions, great. So these are all reasons why we join communities of practice. So networking, exactly, networking is really important. All right, great. Thank you. So I'm going to go back to my slides. And yeah, great responses. Thank you. So can you see my slide?
Yes, it's clear. Yes.
Awesome. Thank
Good.
you. All right. So why do people join communities of practice? So as you said, creating a support network. The support network can help you in so many ways as educators, just by knowing different people, job opportunities, also just attending different events. This is where people get the chance to connect, share information about their own conferences, upcoming opportunities, call for proposals. So just by being part of a community practice, you have access to so many different things. Connecting with people who might not have other means of interacting. These are a few reasons why people join communities of practice. Dialogue between members, sharing ideas, sharing resources, providing a context for people to communicate and share information. So all of these are reasons why we join communities of practice. So now we know about communities of practice. I'm going to ask you a question, and if you can put your answers in the chat box. I'm going to give you a few examples, and I'd like you to please tell me if you think these are communities of practice or not. So let's start with the first example. A professional learning network for teachers. Is it a community of practice or not? I'm going to go to the chat box and see your responses. A professional learning network. Yes, it is a community of practice. That's true. And a good example of a professional learning network is our former TESOL International Mentorship and ELT Professional Learning Network. So yes, it is a community of practice because there's a shared domain. For example, improving teaching practices, engaging in discussion. There's a community. There are shared resources, documents, webinars, and people collaborate to enhance their teaching strategies or skills. So yes, it is a community of practice. How about a weekly company status meeting? Is it a community of practice or not? When they check the status of a company, and people meet to discuss different things, or just updating people. Is that a community of practice or not? Just go to... Okay, we have different responses. We have yes, no, no, no. And one more, and then yes, okay, no. So here we have different responses. It's a bit tricky. So the correct answer is no. While these meetings bring employees together, they focus on updates and tasks. They don't really share learning experiences. So the main goal is to inform people, not really connecting, and there's no give and take, there's no mutual learning, there's no collaboration. It's kind of like a top-down approach. So no, they are not communities of practice. How about coffee break chats among colleagues? Are those communities of practice? Okay. Yes, no. Yes, no. This is interesting because it's yes, no, no, yes. Okay, different views. So let's see if it is a community of practice or not. No, it is not a community of practice because the interaction is social, and it's not necessarily around the professional learning, professional interest, or in improving practice. They're just chatting. There's no structure. And one of the things that makes a community of practice is meaningful participation, joint activities, shared resources, and a sense of identity among members. And that is not available in a coffee break chat. How about graphic designers online forum? Is it a community practice? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, we're getting there. Yes, it is. They exchange ideas, provide feedback on each other's work. They discuss different trends. So through these interactions, they work together. They deepen their knowledge and their skills in graphic design. How about a social media chat group for hobby enthusiasts? Is that a community practice or not? Maybe. Okay. Good answer. Yes. 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 Okay, it depends. Yes, it can be. It depends. Okay. So let's go to the response. No. While these groups involve discussion about shared interests, but they don't have that depth of engagement and sustained interaction characteristic of communities of practice. So members may not be focused on learning and improving their skills. So they're just talking about it, but there's no depth. So it's a bit tricky, but it's not a community of practice. All right. So thank you very much for your interaction and communication, and thank you for your engagement. So let's move to another point, which is levels of communication in communities of practice. So I'm going to take TESOL International Association as an example. So we have core members. We have, as you can see, we have core, leaders, regular, experts, beginners. So there are lots of different levels, outsiders, peripheral. Now, communities of practice have different levels, and this happens in all learning spaces. It's because when you get involved, you gain interest, and then you start moving closer to the core. It's interesting how people move in and out of these categories over the life of a community. So, for example, when I joined the TESOL International Association, I didn't really have a goal. I just decided to join it because I was part of another community of practice, TESOL Arabia and TESOL Sudan. So I just joined it to, learn about different ways to help develop my own community of practice, which was where I was serving as the acting vice president. So I wasn't really involved. And then I started looking at the website, meeting people, through webinars and online events. And they would ask me to join, like leaders and board members and past presidents asked me to join and get more involved. And then I started gaining more interest. So that is a good example that involvement can produce learning in multiple ways, and the domain has different levels of relevance to different people. Even if you go to the website, you'll find so many different councils, so many different professional learning networks. Then you just think about what you're interested in. There's so many different options, so you just think about what you're interested in. And it could be whether you're interested in it or whether it's your major or what you teach. So people can move in and out of these categories over the life of a community. When you're for example, take myself. When I was the vice president, now I have a different role with TESOL International, past chair, and we just keep changing, and then you just join different associations, and it just goes on and on and on. And interactions and knowledge flow between them, and they create opportunities for learning. So just by connecting with other people, you learn about different things, and then you get more involved. Your interests might change. You might join a different council, and it's just an ongoing process. People need time and space to collaborate. So it didn't happen overnight. It took years, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 10 years. So people communicate, they refine, they use their knowledge within a community, they accept different levels of participation within a community. As I said, in one organization, you can be the president. In another organization, you can just be, just be a volunteer. We have different levels of interests, which translate to different levels of participation. People like to review books. People with, newsletter editors. I was never interested in doing that, but eventually, part of when I joined IATEFL, I had a column. So, eventually with time, I thought, oh, I'm never going to be, a newsletter editor. But then in a different association, I actually did that. So with time, you find the value of certain things and gain more interest, and then you start getting more involved. So as you can see, this is another picture. It's the same picture. People in the core. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to give an example using the TESOL International Association. So the core group is the TESOL Board of Directors and the president, a small group of people whose passion and engagement energize and nurture the community. So this is where everything starts. This group, the core group, forms the heart of the community. They charter, market, nurture, and operate the community. Core members coordinate the leadership within the community. Then the next group, we have active participants, and I see those as chairs, founders of professional learning networks, TESOL, council leaders, membership council, professional development, professional council, awards council. So these are active members who are chairs, who are in charge of different groups, and they're practitioners. They define the community, and they work closely with the board of directors, the core team, to help shape the definition and the direction of the community of practice. And this includes sharing the vision, the mission, the purpose, knowing everything about the association, and helping it go forward. Then we have occasional participants. And these are people who who might get involved during the convention. They participate when the topic is of interest, when they have something specific to contribute, or when they're involved in a project related to the domain of the community. So they're not necessarily there all the time, but they might just attend webinars or events based on their interests, but not always there. Peripheral participants are in the outskirts. They participate minimally because maybe they don't feel that their contributions are beneficial, or they don't have the time to participate. It could also be people who were in leadership positions, like past presidents who have completed their terms and they're doing other things. And another thing, they might even be people who are not very active in one organization, but they take the learning and the knowledge to their local associations or other associations. So they're active in other places. So yeah, they might, as I mentioned, they may be active elsewhere, and they carry the learning to these places. And this could be just like a network for them. Finally, we have the outsiders, and these are people who interact. They don't have to be members. And this is like people who, publishers, for example, book publishers. They're not part of the organization. They're not members. They don't pay membership fees. They're only there for a certain service just during the convention or during the annual event to advertise. So they are the least connected to the community. They interact only to receive or provide a service, and they gain access to artifacts produced by the community, such as publication, website, tools, or it could be just somebody who's interested in attending the conference or convention to get resources, learn a little, and just once a year. So now I'm going to talk about principles of successful communities of practice. We see so many communities of practice, but they start, they're very active, they have members, great opening, and then they just end. Why does that happen? These are, now I'm going to talk about different strategies to allow them to flourish. Number one, they need to be designed for evolution. They need to shift and change to meet the needs of the participants. As they grow, they need to bring in new ideas. I know, like in some organizations, there you have the same members for years, the same board for hundreds of years. So that is not evolving. So as the community grows, you need new members, new blood, new ideas. And they can also pull the focus of the community in different directions. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it was, depending on what's happening around them. So it's not to impose, but to just help it develop and link it to what's happening around you. An open dialogue is important. It's important to have new ideas. As I said, I've been in so many different organizations. I've seen people resisting change. So it needs an insider's perspective to lead the discovery of what the community is about, but it also needs an outsider's perspective to see possibilities and bringing information from outside the community. A good example is, other than these, educational communities of practice, this is also educational, but I'll give an example of what we do at my institution, Toastmasters. So we have our local Toastmasters club, but it's also important to learn about the regional Toastmaster club, so we can learn and take that knowledge and bring it to our local club. They're strengthening when they're inclusive and equitable. Having different perspective, different backgrounds, languages, gender. This is a powerful way to learn and grow with others. So as you can see here, the picture that we described previously, the different levels of participation, it's important to invite different people to get more involved. You can get people from the core. It doesn't necessarily have to be all core members. You can get peripheral members, outsiders, active members, core members. It's important to have different levels of participation in the community. Encourage everyone to participate equally, and that will encourage engagement, and it will help people move through different levels. Developing both public and private community spaces. And that's really important. And a good example is having different events. Some of them can be for members and some for open for all, some for non-members. So this really helps. And you can choose the different types of activities based on your needs, based on, different countries have different needs, have different things that govern the way we're going to run the association. So, for example, creating a blog to share activities or videos, different things that can strengthen the community. Focusing on value. Communities thrive because they deliver value to the organization, and value is very important. It's important to have, good events, interesting events, things that will engage the audience, because if it's not engaging, if it's not valuable, they won't come back and you won't have a community. Combining familiarity and excitement. That's really important. And we have something called Take 5 with TESOL, where they ask members to take a picture doing something, doing yoga, or having a scavenger hunt where you look for something blue, and it was just so much fun. TESOL 365. So there's so many different events that engage members, keep them motivated and engaged, and people just come back for more. Communities have a rhythm. Regular meeting, teleconferences, we have meetings throughout the year, annual convention. There's a rhythm. If it's too fast, the community will feel breathless and will stop participating because they get so overwhelmed. On the other hand, if it's too slow, it's also a problem. It will feel sluggish. So you have to have the right pace to make it go smoothly. So that is the end of my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So a wonderful presentation from him, indeed. Yeah, it was a lovely one, and it was a great start talking about communities of practice. Since Educast in itself is a community of practice for teachers, not only inside Egypt, but teachers from all around the world. That was really great, and we have lots of positive comments here. From the people who are attending from different parts of the world. That's a very great indication, at the beginning of a conference, isn't it?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So some people are saying thank you. Some of them are, asking about the materials. Okay. Yes. Some people are asking about the certificate. Yeah, we'll talk about this later. Brilliant presenter, have the natural ability to hand out presentation materials in a very organized way. Great job. Thank you so much. It was enjoyable. So yes, wonderful one. So I just have one comment on
Sure.
a point. Yeah. So you were talking about communities of practice, and you've given lots of examples about that. TESOL, International Association, IATFL, and there are a lot of places, there are a lot of communities. But my only concern here is that some communities of practice might not address the needs of teachers from other countries. So what do you
True.
think is the solution in this point? Is there any way for a teacher to know exactly whether this will fit him or his teaching context or not? Because communities of practice don't always announce that they are talking about this specific area or not. And I think this might be a drawback of this community, right?
True. Actually, that's a very good point. One of the things that we do at TESOL is we have this this thing called we have these new member
Especially
guides.
just yeah. Oh yeah, guides.
Yeah. So
Oh,
if
that's
every
fantastic.
community had a guide, so I'm a new member guide, and what I do is
Okay.
I talk to new members who join the association, give them information about the association, how to navigate the platform, answer any questions. And then after that they decide whether or not they want to, like, they will know if they want to continue. Like, they obviously are members, but they'll know and get a bigger picture. And it's very important when people join an association, they have to look at, when I joined, it was very random. I didn't really have any plan, but I think it's a good idea to get people, when people join their communities of practice, they should know about the vision and mission of the association, know about what the association offers, know about how they can benefit from the association, and also have a target and say, where do I want to be 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now? So if I had done this previously, I would have done so many things, but
Yeah.
it just happened gradually. But if there's a plan, knowing the association, knowing what they offer, and linking it to your jobs, how it can help you, if what based on the types of students you're teaching, so that will really help. And or
Yeah.
even just contacting someone from the association, having an online, I'm sure different associations have representatives who can give you an idea of what it offers, and then you can decide if it's the right thing for you or not.
Yeah, and this actually brings to my mind something really important, which is the special interest groups. Big communities of practice, have special interest groups, concerned about, some specific or particular, topics of interest for teachers. This is how teachers can know whether this will fit their interest or not, with their teaching
Absolutely.
context or not. Yeah, that's right.
True. When you go to these special interest groups, you can see the different options that are available. Um, you can see the different options. You can know what suits you. Is there something new that you want to learn about? So yeah, definitely the special interest groups or professional learning networks, they can really help a lot.
Yeah, that's great. That was very great, Tim. Thank you for your valuable contribution to our conference. Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you. And I
Thank
hope
you
this
so much.
won't be, the last collaboration, inshallah.
Definitely
Yeah,
not. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I
my
really
pleasure.
enjoyed being here today. And thank you all for the great comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you. So, everyone, we're done with the first presentation, and now we have another wonderful speaker. But before, talking about this speaker, let me ask whether Isra is here. Isra, are you there? Okay. Well, I think that, yeah, she's not there, maybe. Great. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed our first session for today. We have a couple of more sessions coming up. And the first one, uh, yeah, the first one is with another speaker from Egypt. He's a friend of mine, actually. So he's going to be talking about evaluating English as a foreign language reference materials, boosting dictionary skills in the English as a foreign language classrooms. So, as a brief, for this presentation, before talking about the speaker, the presentation explores lexicographical core, unveiling the structure, analysis, and dictionary sites for EFL students and teachers. Delving into monolingual and bilingual nuances, it aids users in choosing the right dictionary. Addressing pitfalls, it underscores dictionaries as potent tools for enhancing writing skills and vocabulary acquisition. So, yes, our next speaker is Karim Mahmoud, and he is coming from Egypt. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Um, Karim Mahmoud is a teacher educator at Luxor classes. He holds multiple teaching qualifications from Cambridge, including Train the Trainer, CELTA, and Delta, with over 15 years as an EFL teacher and 5 years as an educator. He also pursues an MA in English literature and is currently doing an MA in applied linguistics. So, Karim, it's nice to be having you here with us today.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Muhammad. Let me open
Hello,
it
Karim. How are you
here.
doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? It's a
I'm
good.
good. I'm good. Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, always good to see you, Muhammad.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So,
So, yeah, whenever you're ready, you can share the presentation.
yeah, sure.
You're already a co-host.
Okay.
So before we start, could you please, everyone, type in the chat box where you are joining us? Yeah, we have people from Egypt, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, that's great, Algeria, Egypt, Ukraine, yeah, Uruguay, great. Ethiopia, Africa's here.
So we
Yeah,
have
Thailand,
Thai here, Thai people. They are here. It's a bit late, I think, in
yeah,
Thailand now.
yeah, yeah,
Malaysia
Malaysia,
as well. Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess it's
the
around 1
UK,
a.m.
yeah, the
in
UK,
Malaysia. Yeah.
yeah, a variety of, countries. Yeah, Cairo, Pakistan, lots of people from all around the world. Oman. Yeah, that's great. So, okay, so everyone, now we're about to start the second presentation by Karim Mahmoud. So, Karim, the mic is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you for the good introduction. So I will not say more because Muhammad, he said enough. So my name is Karim Mahmoud, and in short, I'm a teacher educator at Luxford Classes. Today, we are discussing a topic that it's a bit challenging to most of teachers, especially the new ones. And the major point here is what are the main benefits of dictionaries? Do we actually use dictionaries inside the classrooms, outside classrooms? If you're not a teacher and you're in the field of business and all that stuff, you're an employee, sometimes you come across a word that you don't know, you're not familiar with. And how do you use the dictionary? Will dictionary or dictionaries be sufficient resource to you? We'll see in this. So we have here a quote, and the quote says, reference skills are the abilities required on the part of the dictionary users to find information being sought. So what do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Can you can type on the chat box. Do you agree it's only the ability to find information? It's all about the information? What do you think? So some people, they agree, some people do not. Okay. So personally, I do not fully agree with this. So this statement by Hartman and James, those people did sometimes you can tell out of the context. Yes, from the far side, it's a bit true because sometimes I check the dictionary only to look for a meaning. So it's very rare that I check, for example, pronunciation, stress, and all that, because I'm not specialized in English language, for example. I'm just an employee. But if I'm an English teacher or a student, a learner, perhaps these particular information would be of a benefit to me. So then the usage of dictionaries mainly depends on the end user or the target audience. So let's say today we have three major questions to discuss. So what are the different stages in the process of using dictionaries? And do the common European framework of reference for languages relates to dictionary skills and the proficiency level, and what are the challenges and pitfalls of dictionary usage? So we all know that that's a common or a stereotyped idea and image of a dictionary, that it is a book. For example, that one is a book. And if I want to check a word, I'll start to do skimming to this text till I find the things, and then to scan the exact meaning I wish to find. So the dictionary skills, is it only that I look up at the dictionary like this? So I, for example, want to check the word go. So I would go to the G letter, and then I'll start to list, sort things, check, scan for the word till I get it. Ah, that's it. So what's the meaning of it? No, It's not only the lookup skills that I need to check. Otherwise, everything would be simple. Dictionary skills may be influenced by the dictionary skill teaching and learning. So for example, the major question you can tell, why do you think that learners, they fail to use dictionaries or to use references in general? Why do you think? Why dictionaries could be a problem to most of students? Not to mention some of the teachers, by the way. You can type on the chat box as well. Do you think, checking a dictionary or consulting a dictionary could be challenging to some of the teachers? Good. Muhammad, very good point. Very good. Okay. So first of all, those who are telling that lacking a context, yes, I totally agree that the word is out of context, but it also depends on the type of the dictionary you use, because some of the dictionaries, they provide you with examples. So for this example, with this example, so at least you can guess the things. But I do agree with the people who said that too much information, it's too informative. That's correct. And also, yes, it's because it's replaced. Now, the paper dictionary, it's replaced by the digital one. So instead of, like checking, consulting, and trying to search and look up for a word, you simply type it. And you will get everything about the word due to the now technology and the access to the internet. Very good. But actually, the point here is that some of the students inside the classroom, because our main focus here is inside the classroom, why do you think students may fail to, consult a dictionary? Inside the classroom. Do you think it's something related to classroom management? Or the ability to afford, for example, copies of dictionaries? Perhaps some of the countries, they don't have kind of computer labs. So what do you think? What could be the main reason for that? Okay. Yes, they cannot search, Muhammad. Very good. They cannot search. Why is that? Because they are not trained to use a dictionary. So for example, too many copies, too many editions. So for example, I have two dictionaries here. I have one, it's bilingual dictionary. I have a monolingual dictionary. And in my mobile, for example, I have multilingual dictionaries. I have general dictionaries, could be some specific ones, and so on. So what kind of dictionaries I should use? And will that type of dictionary at that particular level meet all the requirements of the students? For example, I have mixed level of students, mixed ability classes. So that could be a challenging. So a dictionary in general, it refers to the information contained in the dictionary, the format of the dictionary. And the dictionary, for example, they have the information, how it's arranged, and the language contained, for example, you can tell the information, the pronunciation, the semantic relations, and all that. However, any reference book, it refers to the fact that it contains information. So how dictionary differs from any reference book? The dictionaries, they have types. For example, the reference books, you cannot find the reference book. Let me remove the annotation. Thank you, Mr. Khalid. So now the dictionary is different from the reference book because the dictionary, you can find an edition which is monolingual, but in the reference book, you cannot find editions. You can find either it's in the authentic language, for example, the original one, it's in English, for example, and translated. So you cannot find a copy of a dictionary which is translated. So that's a difference between both of them. So For monolingual dictionaries, we have types of dictionaries now. You have to decide, as a teacher, you have to decide which dictionary could be sufficient for your students. You have monolingual dictionaries that can focus on more explanation, delve into deeper details, or give you definitions, example words, and valuable information in the original language, not in the L1. Or you go to bilingual dictionaries, on the other hand, that works on the translation, which has different pitfalls now because you cannot judge the translation. So it gives you the word go. So it's in French, it's commencer. For example, it's in Arabic, yazhab. So it's totally different. So you cannot judge, is it really commencer or another word? So it lacks the context, so you cannot judge this. Let me remove the annotation. Okay, so now the choice between these two can impact the learners on how they acquire the language. So here's the benefits of this. You as a teacher, you can decide. If you want to encourage your learners to think on the target language or foster their deeper understanding of the words within the culture context, as I told you from the example, or you want to, impress or post the immersion of or reduce the reliance on translation, yes, you can do that. Or if your level of students, for example, they're still in elementary, they need some help, so somehow you can use either a basic dictionary or bilingual dictionary because it gives quick access through the translation. So you don't need to move from the English and try to explain the definition in a different way. Okay, so now what is the process or the kind of information you can find inside the dictionary? For the dictionary, for you, you can decide on the dictionary. There are general features for any dictionaries. You can find either it's general dictionary or specific. For example, you need to consult an idiomatic or idioms dictionary, or for example, you need to check a dictionary for a phrasal verb, a dictionary, literally dictionary, or what? So who is the target or the end user? So what the dictionary you need to use inside your classroom to help your students master or acquire a specific number of vocabulary. And what is the languages? So it depends on the level of your students. You can select or you can decide on whether it's monolingual, bilingual, or multilingual. So, and also within or in a line with the level of your students, elementary, intermediate, or advanced. However, you can find different information in every dictionary. Not all the dictionary, you can find the rest of the 4 categories. So for example, some of the dictionaries don't have the pronunciation. You can find some of the dictionaries, they have the word and you don't have anything next to it. No pronunciation, nothing. And even if they have the pronunciation, do they have multiple pronunciation? For example, some dictionaries, they offer the American pronunciation, for example, like Webster, for example. Some of the dictionaries, they offer POPs, like Cambridge, for example, they offer the British pronunciation, they offer the American pronunciation, and that stuff. And also, whether they give you the phonetic transcription or they give you the allophonic transcription. And if you don't know the difference between both of them, so the allophonic transcription, it works on the allophonic variation of the sound. So for example, you have the sound. So sometimes it is pronounced in different ways. Sometimes is sa, sometimes is z, and so on. So it gives you the pronunciation. And then whether this pronunciation or this entry in general gives you any morphological information. For example, derivational of the word form, the inflections, and all that stuff, the parts of speech, the positions and the examples, and all that. It gives you also the semantic relations or no, for example, the word has, or the meaning of the words, they are related. For example, they are not related, like blasphemy, homonymy. They give you idioms, they give you the etymology or the origin of the word. So the strategy of consulting any dictionary has 4 steps. So for example, if you want to train your students or post students' skills inside the classroom. So you have 4 steps: the consultation, the entry location, the interpretation of this entry, and recording or note-taking, how your students should do these things. So how your students should consult a dictionary. It's a bit challenging because, as I told you, for the paper dictionary, it's a bit challenging because it consumes a lot of time. So you need to teach your students how to, wait. So you need to train them to weight up the cost of consultations against the benefits. For example, digital versus paper. So now if I want to check a word, it's a piece of cake. I will go to the website of Cambridge, I will do it. Actually, for example, the electronic dictionaries, they are more updated. I had this book, this dictionary, it's Longman Activator, since 2007. I'm sure that the later editions, they have more words. They have more examples. And also it's easy access, and time consumption is too much for the paper dictionaries. So, because what I know is, like, how many of you do consult a paper dictionary these days? You may keep a paper dictionary in your library in the home. Yes, for sake of your good days. Yes, I have a book. I used to use this book long ago. You will not throw out the book, or you will not, lend it to somebody and forget about it. The thing is that you will consult an electronic dictionary because the ease of access or the time consumption is less, or it's more updated, because these papers you cannot add to it. So the entry location, that's the main skills. So now you students, they will try to check the dictionary, right? It consumes time in your classroom. You need to include this in the structure or the tasking cycle. You need to tell them what to do in every steps. And then if somebody is stuck in every steps or any steps, they are, trying to, for example, in locating the word or understanding any of the vocabulary inside the definition or anything, that consumes a lot of time. So it means that knowing which part of the dictionary are relevant for lookup and for checking, that's a skill your students need to master. So for example, you can find in this dictionary, there is no marks here, no marks here. And that's a pitfall. Why is that? Because some of the dictionaries, they keep marks on the dictionary. That means a start of a new letter. So for example, if I know that I need to check the word go. So, okay, so I would go like this. So I know there are a lot of, marks here. So I would just try to skip like this. And sometimes they write it also. They give for the end users. One of the dictionaries they do this is Macmillan. So Macmillan dictionaries, they give this, marks about the letters, the beginning of the letter, the end of the letter, so that it gives an easy access to students if they have to use the paper dictionary. So, for example, here is that option or that example is taken from a literary dictionary. That one is taken from an idioms dictionary. That one from a phrasal verb. That one from you can tell an advanced learners dictionary, and this one is an electronic one. See, let's compare the differences between this, and you can tell me which one could be suitable for you students. So if you noticed, here it's mentioning the French Revolution. It's nothing about pronunciation. Nothing is about the examples. No alternative for the word revolutions, for example. No pronunciation. It's not divided to syllables, for example. Syllables, and no stress, no mark for the stress. Nothing about pronunciation. Nothing about the examples. Only information. And it's also a dictionary. It's called a literary dictionary. Okay, what about the idioms? the idioms dictionary, if you are consulting an idiom dictionary, will that fit your students? Do you think that this idiom, curiosity killed the cat, cannot be found in an electronic dictionary? What do you think? Do you think this idiom I cannot find in an electronic dictionary? You can use the chat box. Hello. Hello from Morocco. Hi. Okay. So such idioms you can find easily in some of the updated electronic dictionaries. But if you notice, on the contrary, that screen here, that screenshot I have taken from a dictionary, I think it's Macmillan Dictionary. So if you want to check the entry, if you want you as a teacher to understand the entry itself, so that you can train your students to explain to your students how to use this dictionary, you can find here the pronunciation, right? So let me use the annotation. That's the pronunciation, correct? The transcription. How you as a specialist in English language, you can interpret this pronunciation. You can notice here the stress, correct? And you can notice how it is divided into syllables. And also you can find different informations. Like, for example, you can find 1, 2, 3. That's a summary of the meaning. So they are giving you this in advance. So how this different from, for example, the literary dictionary? So based on this information, you can decide what dictionary is good for your students. You can find here examples. You can find here information about countability, for example. You can find examples. You can find other, alignment or other, you can tell, variation of the word. Like, for example, clearance, it comes with a scale, it comes with scales, it comes with cut and all that stuff. Correct? So here you have another dictionary, which is phrasal verb. The phrasal verb, you cannot notice any information about pronunciation. Yes, it is true, you can find examples, you can find a relation between the examples, you can find even some kind of countability as well, but you cannot find all the information related to the word, means the meaning. So, for example, from this part, you can notice the semantic relation. For example, are those meanings related or not? There's type of homonymy or blasphemy. So as a teacher, you can interpret all these stuff. So based on this knowledge, if you're not able to interpret all these information, so you'll not be able to select or advise your students on a dictionary to use. So not all the dictionaries are fit for everybody inside the classroom, even for teachers. And even the dictionary you can use inside a classroom cannot fit for another classroom. So it's not like, okay, I will just get my intermediate level dictionary and I will go to my class. I will ask my students to get some information from that, try to skip, try to skim, try to scan till they get the specific information they look for. It's not about that. So for example, I have this class, they're really good. Their level is upper intermediate, for example. So that dictionary might be okay for them. So, but I have in another class, I have mixed level. So what I need from them, I need them to be trained to use a dictionary inside and outside the classroom. So I will get them a different dictionary. I will get them a simple one. One that doesn't show so much information about pronunciation, about the word, the parts of speech, for example, perhaps too much of idiomatic words or too much of examples or so much of reference or word origin, for example, because some of the words, like some of the dictionaries, like Webster's, for example, it gives you the origin of the word. It tells you, okay, that's from Middle Latin, that came from Germanic source, and that was developed from that. It was slide and then child and so on. So it doesn't tell you all that. So the purpose of your selection should align with the level of your students. Okay, Muhammad. So let's start, move the annotation. Okay, so using dictionaries would primarily depend on the proficiency level of the end users, and the teachers must not give a blind eye to the next level they deal with. So do you agree or disagree with this? That's a quote I wrote in one of my articles. Do you agree or disagree? Yes, thank you, percent. Okay, great. Great, Basma, Minna. Then what is the key points here? Very good, all of you, thank you. So what's the key point here? Proficiency level, right? The level of your students, you cannot give a blind eye. I need my students to reach to autonomy. What is that? I mean, they can learn inside the classroom and they can learn outside the classroom. Let's say that your students, they have now their parents, they have a kind of a plan for their kids to, during the summer holiday, for example, to read some of the literary books, short stories, some kind of any stories, literary text, plays, something like this, or even watch some documentaries or something like this. And they come across few words, they don't know the meaning of this. So they lost the whole points. They cannot take it. So what they will do, they have to ask the parents about the word or consult a dictionary, right? They have to search for it. So they cannot search if you do not allow them to learn the skill of looking into a dictionary, of looking up for a dictionary at least, or selecting a proper dictionary, they will not be able to learn outside the classroom. So here's the common European framework of reference for languages. That is the one can help you to identify the level of your students. Always I advise my trainees in the first day of the school, if you have a fresh start with a class, so run a diagnostic test. What I mean by a diagnostic test or a diagnostic quiz, at least you need to know the level of students you deal with. Why is that? Because yes, it is true that you have levels, but you need to align these levels with the activities you create. So for example, if you have a vocabulary lesson, and this vocabulary lesson, you want your students to use dictionaries, or you take them to a computer lab, so you want them to use dictionaries, either electronic dictionaries or online dictionaries. So you need to know that you have some kind of levels. Like you have the A1, you have the A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. So these 6 levels. So these 6 levels, they have some criteria when using dictionaries. So I got you this from a very good reference. So it's all about the keywords here. So all the levels, they have to decide on something. They have to locate something inside the dictionary. They have to understand something, interpret something, evaluate something, record something, implement something. So all of the levels, they have to do this to somehow. But the level of doing the things with the C2 is different from B1. So for example, you can tell that the C2 proficient user can decide which dictionary to use. They are the ones who can decide. They can decide what to look up and why. How do you look up inside the dictionary? What they will look up to, okay? And they can locate the multi-words units. For example, they can identify the syllables, they can identify the stress, they can identify the multiple pronunciation, for example. They can understand the phonetic transcription, the allophonic transcription, and all these stuff. They can understand the meaning, the cross-references. What I mean by the cross-reference, For example, when you have a meaning inside a dictionary and then you have something between the brackets, or you have an error, okay, go and check this, go to page that. So they can understand this cross references. They can understand different information sources, for example, including the corpora. For example, if you have a corpora reference, means the database of all the language used, and then also they can interpret different types of text. They can understand etymological information and all that stuff, and they can really analyze and evaluate this, and also they can record and take notes and all this stuff. So that's the proficient user at C2 level. But for that, you can have different types. So when you go down with the levels, that also the scale will be reduced. So the C1 user can decide which dictionary to use, but still he will need help because he decided it's paper or no. Okay, I decided to go for a web. Okay, he will still need little help with some of the information. For example, they cannot understand the deeper level of, for example, allophonic transcription. They cannot do. They cannot understand the cross references, for example, and that stuff. So you need to understand all the level, and I will allow everybody, if you want, to take a screenshot of these things so that you know the level of your students, how they can, what are the capabilities they know. If you identify the level of your students, they are B1. So you should know, okay, B1 people, they are capable of doing blah, 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 blah. So you should not do or give or assign a task they cannot do. Correct? You don't need to challenge your learners. So you should know and understand, okay, what they are capable of. That's based on Kareem's, based on Muhammad's? No, that's based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. They said, okay, for references, if you need to use any reference, okay, this level is capable of doing that. So you need to understand these things. And of course, the same thing for the B. Now, the B1 can decide which dictionary to use, okay, and can decide what to look up and where. But for example, they can understand only the micro and in the monolingual, okay, micro and the macro. What is the meaning of micro and macro structure? Microstructure, it means all the linguistic things. They can still understand it. Not in a deeper level, but they can understand. Will they be able to interpret them? It depends on the level. But they can understand all the linguistic features. But they cannot understand, for example, the semantic relations. They cannot understand the semantic network. So, but they can at least understand the layout because they are in a B2. They can know, okay, that's the page, that's the beginning of the entry, that's the end of the entry. Okay, that are the difference meaning. Okay, yes, they are not related, but what do we call them if they are not related? He doesn't know, or she doesn't know. Okay, there are two pronunciation. Okay, but how can we do this? They cannot differentiate between, for example, the phonetic transcription or phonemic transcription and the allophonic transcription. They cannot do that. So they have some limitations. They can identify, for example, any unsuccessful lookup event and decide to look again for a different entry. If, for example, if they are not successful at the first attempt, they still can try and all that. But the lower levels, they cannot. So if they are going to identify now a word they cannot do, they will simply close it. Failed. Mission unaccomplished. And all that. So the deeper, the lower level, you have the B1 and the A2. For example, if you go to the A2, they can decide to use bilingual dictionary. Now, could you see the difference? In B2, they could use the monolingual dictionaries, general dictionaries, or specialized dictionaries. But you come here, so those people in B1, they can choose between mono and bilingual. But A2, no, bilingual. Because monolingual dictionary will be totally challenging to them. So, for example, they can look at the entry. Yes, they can understand the micro and the macro, correct? But in a general way. In a general way. So they are checking a monolingual dictionary? No, they are checking a bilingual. So bilingual, it means that they are communicating with the dictionary in their original mother tongue. Correct? Nevertheless, it is their L1, but nevertheless, they cannot locate all the information. Why? Because it is a skill you need to guide them and you need to train them to use. And of course, the basic one is the the elementary one or the beginner one. Those people, they are not even aware that there is something called a dictionary. Okay, they know that this is a book, it has some words, okay, but how to use it, they don't know at all. So they cannot locate a lot of things, a lot of information. So it's better for you to understand and run a diagnostic test to understand the level of your students so that you can know what they are capable of when using or consulting any dictionary. Then the third one is the entry interpretation, and that's the biggest task and the challenging task they have to do. Because, okay, now all the levels except the, you can tell A1, so you have another 5 levels, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, they can locate and identify the entry. The entry starts, the entry, it means the word. Under every word, there are some description, right? Under every word, there are some description. So this description, we call it entry. That's the word entry. So all the information, the word entry means all the information written about this word. So they can locate it, but how they can interpret? It's different from level to level, but it's the main stage because they have to interpret each and every piece of information they have found and distinguish relevant and irrelevant. So for example, if I'm asking about the word minister, the word minister, it means a member of the government, and it also could mean priest. Am I right? So if I'm a C2 user, so I have a context of a religious context. So I'm talking about religion and all that. So the word minister, so I need to know the meaning. So yes, it is this one, the priest. But if it is political one, could be the member of the government. Okay, come to the A2. The A2 has the same context. Okay, not the same text, the same context, because the text will be different. Okay, the level of the text will be different. So this A2, if he has or she has the bilingual dictionary, and then he got the Munster, he found it, it's a member of the government, and then he will try to apply this to the context, it will be difficult for him. So he'll try to look for another meaning and all that stuff. So based on these information, you have to train your students what level of dictionaries they should use. So there are dictionaries. Hello from Georgia. Hello. So you need to train your students how to pick and select the proper dictionaries they use inside the classroom or outside the classroom. Of course, inside the classroom, you're the master, you're the coordinator, you're the maestro. So you have to tell them, okay, guys, we have different levels of dictionaries here. Okay, so in your dictionary and activity, you have to distribute these dictionaries, for example, to different groups, and based on these groups, based on their levels, you give them the appropriate or the dictionary that meets the requirement. Okay, so what information do you have to interpret? As I told you, they have to find the information related to spelling. Of course, all the levels, based on the level, they have to locate some of these information. For example, the C2 level can locate all of them. The C1, most of them. The B2, yeah, the majority. The B1, okay, half of it at least. The A2, some of them. So they have to identify the information related to spelling and differentiate the spelling from the transcription. And the transcription, they have to differentiate between the phonemic and the allophonic transcription, if it is there. You have to understand the typographical conventions, symbols, the punctuation. You have to know to interpret the IPA and the pronunciation, as I told you. So which type of pronunciation they have, the etymological, the morphological and syntactic information. For example, the morphological conditions. Like you have the word, and the word is countable, for example. So this word, we add an S, we add an ES, we add an IES, or it has some odd plural form, for example. So that's called morphological conditions. They have to interpret this. They have to interpret the syntactic information. So this word, if I got this word at the beginning, how it will be if I got this at the end. So this should be followed by a preposition or no. What kind of words can come with it? There is a collocation. Is it related to grammar? So it's a grammatical collocation, lexical collocation. So they need to interpret all this. You need to interpret the definition or the translation. Means because we said that A2, they cannot use the monolingual dictionaries, they can use the bilingual dictionaries. And they can interpret all the idioms and the examples and all that stuff. But the most important thing is the last point. What's the last point? Is additional information. What do I mean by additional information? This is a cross-reference, which I told you. Some of the dictionaries, for example, or even the course books, some of the course books, when you get a grammatical rule, it's mentioned and they will tell you, for example, check page 110 for the full information about the rule. So it means that they will not give you the rule inside the lesson in full, but rather in the appendices or in the reference at the backside. Same way the dictionaries have. For example, this one is Longman activator. So Longman activator, if I check the word begin, it will tell me check the word start. So it means all the entries or most of the entries goes to the start. If I want to know the word begin and how it is different from the word start, I should go to start, not to begin. So all these appendices and information. For example, you can find different symbols inside this. If I don't want the symbols, if I don't know the symbols, what this acronym stands for, or something like this, I have to check, okay, the beginning or the end of the dictionary. So you teach them how to use these additional information. Okay, Muhammad, hold a second. I'm giving you. Muhammad, can you raise your hand? Okay. So, Muhammad, now you are the host. So, guys, that's a rubric. That's a rubric. You can take a screenshot of it if you want to evaluate your students about how they are good or needs improvement inside in the dictionary skills. So it's taken from a very good reference by the Common European Framework. Okay, and that one is the same for the skills. So that one for the linguistic information they will find inside the dictionary. That one, it's about the same wording. You remember? Decide, locate, understand, interpret. The same thing we have discussed with the European criteria. Okay, so that's the last slide. So that's the pitfall and challenges. So the challenges here, I would ask you, so what are the challenges rather than this? For example, the over-reliance on translation. So for this A2 levels, they work and they rely on the translation here. So because we know that exposure to the language will help students get more involved in the culture and the language practice, and that eventually will lead to improvement in the level of language. But when they over-rely on translation, that could be a pitfall. And also the searching strategies, maybe they are not applying this in a proper way. Do you remember when we spoke about the A1 level? They tried to find a word inside, and eventually they didn't do it. They were not successful. Then they closed, and that's it. And some of the dictionaries, they have limited entries, as I told you. For example, the literally the literary dictionary or the idioms dictionary, or for example, the phrasal verb dictionary, they have very limited information. So this limited entries will not help students. However, you can use a dictionary that is, for example, learner dictionary, for example, but for the intermediate level, that will have a lot of things. And eventually, the last word is the inconsistent use. So it means students, they are not used to use it, and they are using this once in a blue moon, you can tell. So you need to keep this as a practice so that you can force and post your students' skills in using the dictionaries. So questions, thank you so much. I'm here to answer any questions, so you can type on the chat box. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that was great, Kareem. A wonderful and a new topic, for our audience, talking about dictionaries and how they are important in the context of teaching English as a foreign language. We also, have lots of positive comments here in the chat box. The first one, yes, was the genius, Mr. Kareem. It was by Miss Mirvat Kamil. Yeah. And we have lots of people, are saying thank you, thanks a lot, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was, a wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot for this enjoyable session and effort. Yeah, you're a very professional presenter, and yeah, and knowledgeable. Yeah, that was very good. So everyone, if you have any other questions, you can type them in the chat box. And until we find some questions in the chat box, I'd like to ask you about something, which is about teaching, using dictionaries. I've always had this question in my mind about how can teachers start teaching young learners how to use dictionaries? Because it's nonsense, it's completely nonsense if you imagine that the students will learn by themselves how to use a dictionary. The teacher, as you've just said in your presentation, is the trainer, is the guide, is the influencer. So he should train the students on how to use the dictionary effectively in order to, promote learner autonomy, right? Because teachers, don't like to be asked a lot about what's the meaning of this, what's the meaning of that every time. No, the student can go to the dictionary, look up the word first, and if he doesn't understand it, he can give back to the teacher. So my question for you is, how can teachers train their learners at the very beginning to use dictionaries?
So at the very beginning, now that's the right question, because now young learners, as you know, so anybody who's under 18 is considered a young learner. So the way you train people, for example, in high schools is different from the way you train, people in, primary schools, for example, junior 2, 3, 4, and all that stuff. And another thing is, what is the main benefit and goal you're aiming at? So will you include or integrate the dictionary in your activities, or just only training them to use the dictionaries? For example, the common things we see in schools, dish parties. Okay, one time I used to ask students, okay, do you have a dictionary? So they had started to ask, what do you mean by a dictionary? So I showed them, okay, that's a book that has list of words. So first, they didn't know that. So one of the things I told them, okay, that's a dictionary, okay? That's a word. And I asked them, okay, let's open this dictionary on a word. Okay, pick a word. So I asked you, pick a word. So somebody picked a word. Then I checked this dictionary, and it was a kind of bilingual dictionary, because at that time they were grade 4. And then what I did is I started to show them the meaning. Okay, what is the meaning here? What is the meaning? I start to show them. Okay, so now everybody got alert that, okay, there is something called a dictionary. And then I asked them to bring their dictionaries next session, next class. I didn't ask them to, do you have or you don't have? So everybody started to get a dictionary on his own. Okay, and I started to receive questions from parents. Okay, what type of dictionaries do you need? And then once everybody has a dictionary, then I started to prepare some of the words only to ask them to go and get this. Tell me which page. Tell me what is the word before, what is the word after. I start them first to locate the word. I don't them to ask for meaning or anything. First, locate the word. So because locating the word in this very early age, that has a lot of challenges for what? Because if you have a weak student, so he doesn't know the alphabet in a proper order. So if you ask him, for example, to check the word go, so he doesn't know, okay, G, where can I locate the G? Which page?
Yeah.
So, and he will start to look at the person next to him. Okay, page 100, and then he will go to 100. He will not find it because he has a different dictionary. Correct? So I start first to train them on how to locate the word. That's it. So everything in steps. Okay, they located the word, and then I started to continue the things. And then every session they have the dictionary. And then the next time I start to give them another training, or what is the meaning? Can you read the meaning? Can you come on the board, write the meaning from your dictionary? Can you note it down in your notebook? Then first I introduce the dictionary the first time, and then I train them to look at the word, to search first. I don't need the meaning. And then I start step by step to tell them, okay, what's inside the dictionary? Of course, the dictionary, they don't need to target all the information in the entry. You need only to target the meaning and the example at this particular stage. So what is the meaning and what is the example? And try to work with them how to understand these examples, how to understand this meaning from the context of the example that's given. And then we started to play with cards. So I started to give them a word, a good entry, simple entry, I mean to say, in a good way, but with cards. And I started to play with them like in groups. So I give the groups, okay, rearrange. So how this word is looked at the dictionary. So for example, they will put the example first, they will put the meaning first, or they will put the word first. Okay, they will put the pronunciation first or something like this. So with cards. So I need them to understand what is a dictionary, how information is, published or written in the dictionary. So that's step by step. I don't need to give them right away. Okay, go ahead. That's a dictionary. Let's look at, okay, what is that? What is that? No. I need first to train them what is a dictionary, how the words are, written or how it's listed in the dictionary, and then step by step, gradually based on their level, I will start to enter more information to that. So one of the things at the end, actually that took really much time. At the end of the semester, they will be able to check the blocking words from the dictionary. So if we have a reading text, so I started to give them in advance to read the text and come up with the meaning from the dictionary. So for example, next class we have,
so it's a gradual process that requires the teacher
100%, because you asked about the very young learners.
Of course, because you and I know exactly, and the other people here in the conference know that young learners learn faster than adults. But in order to teach them well, you need, to take it gradually. To first, tell them how important it is to bring the dictionary with them, and then, ask them some questions to familiarize themselves, with how to pick the words or get the words that they need to, look up in the dictionary, and that's it. So so it's a gradual process.
They are interested in doing that because
motivation, to play.
In the contrary, if you're training some people in the high school, those people, they have specific objectives. They need to know the meaning for the exam. So they need to turn and force you to turn the class into teaching to the test somehow, because they don't have enough time. They know what is a dictionary. They know somehow, or they think that they can use a dictionary, or they can look up on the internet for the meaning of the word. They can use AI for any definition or any example. They can do a lot of things. So they are not interested in knowing the other skills they need to master. to interpret all the information. They're not interested about the semantic relations, about being the word is belonging to blossoming or homonymy. There is homophone, there are homographs, and all that. They're not interested in all that. They're not interested on the different types of pronunciation. Okay, we know how to pronounce it. It's water. I'm not interested in knowing that it's water. So I know how it's pronounced. So they're not interested. So the very young learners, they are interested in knowing all these stuff because their cup is not full. They don't have some other objectives. So you can try different strategies with the very young learners. It will be very successful, but the most important thing, it should be gradual training. It's not like, one time or one session training.
Yeah. So we have another question here from Mr. Muhammad. He says, what are the trusted online dictionaries for teachers? Some examples.
Okay, I will tell you that question has two parts. If you're looking up for a word only for a specific meaning, so you can use the most common things or the most famous things like, for example, Cambridge, Macmillan, Webster's, Longman, Collins, and all these things. They have really updated one. However, if you want to check for the usage of these words, and really this word is really used in everyday language or no, you have to use the corpora. Why is that? I will tell you. The difference between the word shall and will and going to. Okay? So which one to use? Okay, if you check the dictionary, all of them will means, it's a kind of an auxiliary verb.
They all have the same meaning in the dictionary.
Nearly the same meaning. Nearly the same meaning. Because
Yeah.
shall is more used for legal context, unlike well and going, because they have differences in the meaning. However, you don't know which one to use or which one all the speakers, for example, in England are using. So you need to check the corpora. The corpora dictionaries, if you write corpora on Google, for example, the corpora or on ChatGPT or any other AI tool, just ask them about the frequency of using a word or the context where to use a particular word. It will come statistical things. They will tell you the word shall is used, for example, 1 million times in this context. It's used 100,000 in this context. So you would know what to use.
Yeah, and whether it's used, in the the oral communication or the written communication, and the most suitable context for using each word. Very good.
Yes,
So
definitely,
here's another
definitely.
question. Another question, and I think you answered some a part of this question.
We can
Which
wrap
is,
up for it.
have you ever fancied using an AI-powered dictionary?
AI-powered dictionaries. The AI has a problem, actually. The AI are not fully updated with the certain years because it's commercialized. What I mean by commercialized, for example, if you're using ChatGPT, the current free edition is 3.5, right? So 3.5 is updated up to 2021. So 2021, you cannot find the other usage of words or the more added words to the lexicon. We call this a lexicon, okay? After 2021. So this year, for example, if you added a word in the dictionary, you will not find it. However, don't depend on AI. Why? Because AI is working, if you're checking computational linguistics, the backside or the way this logic of and the possibilities works, sometimes it gives you an intended meaning, an exactly intended meaning with AI. So it doesn't give you all the meanings. So if you want to check a dictionaries, to check a word and the entry of the word, and also want to check the pronunciation, the syllables, and you want to check also the different pronunciation and all that stuff. You want to listen and to hear the pronunciation of the word. AI will not give you all that. Will not give you, because it will answer a specific question. So you ask them about the word, what's the meaning of the word go? It will tell you the meaning of the word go, and it will give you some examples. but it will not give you all the entries. What are the words that comes with go? What is the lexical collocations for go? What is the grammatical collocations of go? What is the etymology of the word go? Unless you ask. Unless you ask. So because it answers a specific question.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, the last question, because we have another presenter here. Is it better for your students to use the bilingual dictionaries as the beginning?
Yes, I will tell you, if they are A1 and A2, I mean, they are in the elementary stage, yes. Yes, why is that?
So
Because
it depends on the level.
Yeah, it depends on the level. Why is that? Because they cannot interpret, because this dictionary has, some of the people they said also, it's too informative. They cannot use and interpret all these information. So it's like, you know, people at this particular level, you want to let them feel, or you want to expose them to some gradual English so that they can acquire the language. So you help them with simple sentences so that they can acquire these sentences. So if you give them, or the confront with a monolingual dictionary, they will hate the language. They will not be able to enjoy learning the language. They will feel that it's a bit difficult. I cannot reach that level. So they will be so desperate. So it's better, even the way you teach. Sometimes we use in the teaching L2 in these particular levels. Why is that? Because those people, they need somebody to push them, to give them a push forward. So it's better to use bilingual dictionaries in the dictionary activities. Why is that? To help them at least feel comfortable in understanding the language. If they cannot understand, they cannot do any more progress with you.
Yeah, that's very great, actually.
Yeah, even the common European frameworks, they are telling the same thing.
Okay, well, and this, ends our second talk for today. Of course, we have some other questions, and I'm sure that they will be answered in the conference magazine that will be published in a month after the conference. Yeah, and I hope that it will be, so much beneficial for everyone. So thanks a lot, Kareem, for,
Thank
your
you.
valuable time, your well contribution and presentation in our conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
My pleasure. And now, we have the third presenter of today. And actually, she is another colleague and a friend of mine. Yes, and she is here. Yeah. So she'll be talking about effective speaking activities, maximizing learning outcomes and learner engagement. So, as a brief for this session, the session addresses challenges encountered when teaching speaking, fostering collaborative problem solving. Participants will revise the speaking framework and incorporate the identified solutions. So Aya will be talking about the features of effective communicative speaking practice and gain insights into various forms of speaking exercises. And lastly, they will apply the acquired knowledge by planning a speaking practice. So before, giving the mic to Aya, Dahab, could you please introduce our speaker to the audience?
Oh, yes, sure. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, guys, good evening. So now, sadly, we have reached the conclusion for today, the third and final session, but keep being excited because now we are in the phase of entering into such a captivating presentation or session titled Effective Speaking Activities Maximizing Learning Outcomes and Learner Engagement. So let's delve into the insights. This session addresses the challenges encountered when teaching speaking, fostering collaborative problem solving. Participants will revise the speaking framework and incorporate the identified solutions. Delve into the features of effective communicative speaking practice and gain insights into various forms of speaking exercises. Lastly, apply the acquired knowledge by planning a speaking practice. So now I'd like to present to you our distinguished educator. She is an esteemed lead teacher trainer. She is the founder and academic director of Teachers College. With her extensive experience, she has successfully trained numerous educators. Please welcome Miss Aya Badr. Hello, Miss Aya. Could you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Thank you
Hello.
for the introduction.
Well, much welcome. So now, for not wasting your time, it's your turn, and the mic is yours right now. Go ahead.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. I hope that you're doing great. So it seems like it was a great day so far. I mean, I attended the previous session. It was amazing. So let's see. All right. Let me just start by doing this here. All right. So can you all see the screen?
Yep.
I don't know. Okay, very good. Okay, very, very good. So today's session is going to be interactive, all right? So feel free to write your ideas in the chat box. I don't know if it's like, if we can like unmute and so on. But if you can't, then you can just leave your comment in a chat box, right? Very good. So the goal that we want to achieve by the end of today's session is to think about creating or designing communicative tasks that the students can take, like they can practice them in a classroom, and then they can replicate in real life. So, briefly, this is Aya Badr. I am a CELTA teacher at Cambridge. I am a freelance teacher trainer at the British Council, and I am the founder and academic director of Teachers College. For this part here, the objectives, I mean, my dear colleagues, they already said them. So we're going to start right away with this part. So when we think about teaching speaking, most of the time we think about just getting the students to speak. But it's not only about this. So we have here these three aspects. So I want you in a chat box to write, what do you think, or how do you think they are related to teaching speaking? So you have assessment, we have learners uptake, and we have scaffolding. So just in a chat box, tell me, how do you think they're related to teaching speaking? All right, I'm waiting for your ideas. All right, try to think of how it's related, not just which one is related. So we have three of those. Excellent. I totally agree with that. So we have here Maggie saying that we assess the students when they speak. Very good. Excellent. So scaffolding is all about supporting the students. All right. Very good. So let's take a look here at some challenges from the classroom. So the first one, thank you so much. All right. So the first one here, we have a teacher like complain about certain situation. She's saying that after a speaking session, one of the parents asked her if her son had learned anything, and she didn't know how to respond to that. So what do you think? Which aspect is this related to? Is it assessment or learner's uptake or scaffolding? So now just write what you think it is. Okay. Very good. All right. So we'll leave it at that and let's go check the second one. So a lot of people saying assessment. Okay. We'll see in a minute. All right. So the second one is in his last speaking class, the students seem to struggle with the speaking practice. And he's wondering how he could prepare them. So which concept or which aspect are we speaking about now? Okay. Very good. All right. Excellent. I think we're ready to move to the last one. And here is the last one. Thank you so much, everyone. So this one here, the students keep repeating the same mistakes even after the feedback. So the teacher doesn't know how to actually add to the students so that they wouldn't repeat the mistakes again. Even though repeating mistakes is all right, but we can do some things to avoid it. Okay. Very good. This one seems a bit confusing for people. All right. So let's take a look. The first one, as you said, is assessment, evaluating the students' speaking skills. The second one, as you also agreed, is scaffolding. The last one, which is the confusing one, is learners' uptake. All right. And when we say uptake, it means the students picking up the language, actually learning it, right? Acquiring what I teach them. Okay, so let's think about the first one. We have assessment, we have scaffolding, and we have learners' uptake. Where do you think we can include assessment in our speaking lesson to help the students? At which stage of the lesson, assessment? Okay, at the end of the session? Through the session, all right. All right, very, very good. All right, so everybody, it seems like there is a consensus that it should be done at the end of the session, right? All right. Okay, well, I agree with everyone who said that we can do it at the last stage of the lesson. However, I think Miss Roya said that it could be done at the first stage or at the beginning of the lesson. And this would even be better, right? So now let's think about it. Imagine this. The parent here in the first challenge, she said that her son didn't learn anything and the teacher needed to prove this. So the best way to show it and to be aware of it is to have evidence. So for example, if I have a speaking exercise, the first thing I will do is give the students a speaking task about the same topic, get them to speak, listen to them, take some notes, assess them. All right. And then I go on with my lesson. And then at the end, when you move to the speaking task, in the same context, but a different task, of course, I evaluate their speaking again and compare those. So this would help me know exactly how much the students learned in that particular session. All right. So it's not only about the whole course, it's about every session. trying to teach the students a skill or a piece of language every session. Okay, so we can do it at the first and then at the end. Okay, it doesn't have to be telling the students that we have a test or we have some kind of an assessment. No, we just simply get them to speak and we listen carefully. All right, and then at the end, we also get them to speak and we listen and then we provide feedback. All right, very, very good. What about the second one? Where can I add scaffolding? Of course, it should be throughout the whole lesson. But think now, how can I scaffold what I'm teaching? All right, so Magdi, how do we scaffold it? It would be very nice if you elaborate on this. Okay. Giving them models like demonstrating a task. Okay, that's a good thing. Excellent. Supplying them with vocabulary, yes. Or providing or teaching vocabulary, very good. Supporting the students in general, this is also a very good point. We can also think of different ways to do it. All right. So we've got really, really good ideas in the chat box. Wonderful. Okay, very good. So, very good. So in order to think about this, we can just simply think of the following. In order to speak, what do we need to have? Let's think about it. We just want to speak about anything. What's the first thing that I need or that we need to speak? It doesn't have to be language. It just speaking in general. It doesn't have to be English specifically. Excellent. We need ideas. That's the first thing. All right. So the first thing that I need to have is ideas. Because if I don't have ideas that I want to express, then there is no need to speak. So first thing is ideas. So I have the ideas now and I really want to like speak to Miss Nuha, for example. I want to tell her these ideas. What do I need after this to express my ideas? Language. Excellent. Language, all right? And then we can have so many different things when we think about language, right? And the third thing, something that we have in a classroom, what do we give the students after this? So they have the ideas now, they have the language to express the ideas. Very good. Discourse or the situation where they can use the language to express the ideas. So they need ideas or we need ideas. The situation or the context to have this conversation or to express those ideas. All right, very, very good. And from this, you would see that this is how the framework or the speaking framework is structured. So the first thing is the lead-in, just getting the students to know what the topic is. And then after this, we have preparation. And this is just to give the students the opportunity to have some ideas about the topic. Now they know the topic, they have the ideas, they need the language to express the ideas. And then once they're ready with the language to express those ideas, I provide the situation or the context, which is the task for them to speak. All right. So when we scaffold it, when we think about it this way, then I'm kind of breaking down the task, the communication. First thinking about what the topic is, and then thinking about the ideas included in that topic. and then move into the language that we can use to express those ideas, and then finally the opportunity to speak. All right. So looking at that here, if we go back to assessment, then assessment could be done during the lead-in stage. We can get them to discuss something, and this would also help them prepare some ideas. All right, and we keep scaffolding this. Also, before the speaking task, to scaffold it even more, I can just ask the students to stay like quiet for 2 minutes or something, think about the ideas that they want to express, and also think about the language that they would want to use. All right. Now, let me check the chat box. All right, good. I didn't miss much. Very, very good. Now, for the previous one here, or the one before that, we had also learners uptake. Now, think about this. I followed all the steps in a lesson, and then I provided feedback. And after the feedback, the students left, and then he came back to the class maybe next day or next week, and he still made the same mistakes. What do you think I should have done to avoid this? Think about it as a teacher. What would you do? And please write it in the chat box. Okay. Okay. Excellent. All right. Very, very nice. So I got really, really, really good ideas here. The first one is somebody mentioned it here, which is self-evaluate. So I get the students to reflect on their experience in a speaking task and how it was and what they feel good about, what was good and what was not so good, and how they would improve it. This is a very, very good solution because it would get the students to be aware. And when they are aware, they can self-correct. So they can just say the mistake and then, or like make this mistake, all right, or error, and then they can correct it themselves. This is something very good. All right. The second thing someone mentioned, oh, I'm losing the messages. All right, let me take a look here. Give them a task or repeat the task. So maybe I can send the students to different breakout rooms with different partners, and then they can repeat the task again. After, of course, the feedback. This will give them an opportunity to use the correction that we did in the feedback stage to use it for speaking again. All right. And then putting this into practice would make them more confident, and then you would later remember it easily. Okay. And there was something else here, another very good idea. Oh, summarizing. Somebody, Dina, mentioned summarizing, or like kind of recapping everything that they learned. So I can, of course, do this, and then I can say, okay, so today's from the speaking task, we learned that saying this is not accurate. We can say it in that way, it would be better, of course, without mentioning names, to avoid, getting the students uncomfortable. All right, so those are very, very good solutions. So we said 3 of them. If there is no time to repeat the task, then maybe you can just recap. All right, but let's think about it. If your main aim or your main focus is to get the students to speak, then you should allocate a very big, or like the majority or most of the time of the session for them to speak as much as they can. All right. If not, you can just recap or get them to self-evaluate, and then maybe at the beginning of the coming session, they can speak. All right. Very good. Highlighting the common mistakes would also work to raise the students' awareness. All right, very, very good. Excellent. So we're done now with the three aspects that we spoke about. The first one was assessment, the second one was scaffolding, and then the last one was learners' uptake. All right, and we also revised the framework for teaching speaking. Now, let's take a look here. What do you think? Is speaking only about giving the students some questions to discuss, or we can do more than that? What do you think? Just questions are enough? All right. So I got two good ideas here. Okay. All right. All right, very, very good. So it seems like a lot of people are saying like we need to have a purpose, we need to have something that's challenging, something that's relevant to the students. And those are all really, really good ideas. Okay, very good. Now, let's take a look here and see what makes a speaking task communicative. And when we say communicative, it's not the same when we say it and when we say interactive, all right? Because when we get the students to interact, they could be just speaking, saying anything like, hi, how are you, hello, and that's it. This is interaction, all right? But we want it to be communicative. And in order for it to be communicative, we need those features, all right? So let me share something with you here. All right, it's a link to a quiz. All you need to do is to click on the link and start. You will need to match a description to the correct feature. All right, so the link is in a chat box. I'll send it once more. It's the same link. And you have about 5 minutes to complete it. All right, so we have 63 people doing the quiz right now. All right, very good. Some people are really fast. That's excellent. All right, very good. Please let me know when you finish. All right, we've got... Okay, that's cool. I'm glad that people are saying it's fun. That's good. Oh, no mistakes. That's excellent. That's very good. All right, I'm glad you liked it. Sure. I will display the slides right away. Okay, so I think that most people are done. And by the way, keep the link with you. It's extended. If you want to go back to it whenever you want to revise it, that's absolutely fine. You can use the same link. Okay. All right, well done, everyone. Now moving on to our PowerPoint. Okay. So, as you can see, those are the features of a communicative task. Now you know what they mean or what each one means. Okay, but let's very quickly revise that together. Let me also check. Oh, here is the link again. Someone is asking for it. So here is the link to the quiz. You can save it, like keep it on your phone or something. All right, very good. So the first thing is purposeful. It's very important for a task to have a purpose. So, for example, I'm doing this task because I need to achieve a certain goal. So, for example, you wouldn't pick up your phone to call a number or to speak to someone if you don't have a goal that you want to achieve. So this is something that I need to make sure exists in a speaking task. That's the first one. The second one, reciprocal. Reciprocal. And in this part, you know, when you ask the students after they finish speaking, for example, and you ask them, what did your friend tell you? And they're like, I don't remember, or I don't know. Well, this says that this student was not actually listening to their friend or to their partner or colleague, right? So we want to make sure that our exercises would require the students to both speak and listen at the same time. So for example, we can tell them, when you start speaking with your friend, make sure to listen carefully to them, because I will ask you what they told you. All right, or try to listen and take notes, or giving them some kind of a gap fill exercise so that they feel the need to focus, and remember. So taking notes also is very important. All right. Now, negotiated. This one, I'm not going to explain it. Can you write it in the chat box? What do you think it means? What exactly is negotiated in a task? All right. Okay. All right. What we mean here by negotiated, we don't mean discussed. We mean the meaning is negotiated, and some people already said that. All right. What does it mean? For example, imagine I said this, and please write what you would say in response. Have you seen the man? What would you say if I said, have you seen a man? Exactly. Very good. Which man? And then I say, the man standing over there. He's selling flowers. All right. So here, when one student, exactly, we're asking who, right? Very good. So simply, if the students are trying to say something and their partner cannot get it, they can ask follow-up questions. And this is one of the things that the students really struggle with. When they don't understand something, normally they're like quiet, they don't want to say that they don't understand, they feel embarrassed. But training them to like ask questions when you don't understand something and like trying to say, I didn't get that, or what exactly do you mean, right? Another way would be rephrasing what someone said. So imagine this. Have you seen a man? The response would be, do you mean the man standing over there? Or do you mean the man selling flowers over there? So this is me trying to show what I understood so that the other person can confirm or deny. Okay, very, very good. Excellent. For the next part here, synchronous. So getting the students to record a voice note or record something that we want them, for example, to speak, and recording it and sending it is not always enough, because this is not the challenge that they actually face in real life when they speak to others. Most of the time, what makes a task difficult is it's immediate. I need to be responding to the person on the spot, not just waiting or thinking or looking up words in a dictionary. It's not this way. I need to listen, understand, and respond. Okay, so giving them enough practice would really help. Okay. Exactly, real-time responses, very good. All right, unpredictable. So most of the time, when we give a speaking task, or when we think about different exercises, we sometimes say, this is a controlled exercise, this is a free exercise, right? This is exactly what I mean, a free exercise, something that I cannot, or an exercise where I cannot predict the language that the students are going to say, or the way they're looking at the task, or the way they're going to express their ideas. Of course, it's in the same context, but it's different. Like every person could express themselves differently. All right. Following this one, we have heterogeneous, and this is simply that the students can express themselves differently. So, for example, if I can't say that something is circular, for example, I can just say it looks this way. So this is me trying to express the meaning of something, but I can't use, verbal communication. I don't have the words, or I can't remember the words to use it. So I'm using a different means or gestures. All right. or maybe synonyms, paraphrases, any other means to express that meaning. The following one, contingent. And here in this part, we mean, for example, imagine this. I said, how are you? And he said, I'm 12. Which is like, I'm asking, how are you? All right, so it should be, I'm good. What about you? Right? So contingent, it means we have connections. What someone is saying is related to my questions. For example, the response is relevant to the question. This is number one. And both of them are related or connected to the topic that we're discussing or that we're speaking about. And the last thing, engaging. And this is when the students really care about this kind of communication and they want to make sure that it's successful. All right. Now, discussing all those, we can think of different activities that we can use to incorporate as many of those as we can. So do we need to have all of them in a speaking exercise? Or could we just have some of them? What do you think? Do we need all of them? All right. Well, as much as we can. So we can include as many as we can, right? But we don't, I mean, I cannot like say, oh, I can't do this exercise because it does not include all the features or it does not tick all the boxes. Okay. Because think about this, if I'm training my students to like give a presentation, then this is not really reciprocal because they need to learn how to speak. And it doesn't happen really often that we listen to people when we are presenting. Yes, we do sometimes when there are questions, but not all the time. But we try to include as many of those as we can. Okay, so we still have a couple of minutes. Oh, sorry, I have a question. Okay, we're going to get to that in a moment, right? Very good. So now take a look here. We have here a description of a class and an exercise. Or not really an exercise, you're going to come up with the exercise. So we were supposed to go to breakout rooms. I don't know if that's possible. However, we have the lovely chat box, so you can write your ideas in it. I want you now to read this description. So we have a class of intermediate, upper intermediate students, and the topic is AI. The main aim or the main focus of the lesson is speaking, and the sub-aim could be any of those, grammar, vocabulary, or functional language. So think of an exercise that you think would be really communicative or a communicative exercise for the students. You can write in a chat box. Of course, you don't have to write it right away. You have 5 minutes to think and type. All right, so Miss Marwa is adding so many good ideas. And also Miss Horea. Very good. So now we can take a look again at the features that we have. So let's take one of the ideas that we have here. So we have a debate, Mr. Yusuf. Okay, so we have a debate, and one is discussing the benefit of AI, and the other person is like maybe he's against it, right? So does it have a purpose? What do you think? Does it have a purpose? Yes. Is it reciprocal? Yes, because I would have to listen in order to respond. Excellent. Is it negotiated? Yes, right? Because normally in debates, we have this section for questions. So if something is unclear, I can ask and any other person can clarify. Synchronous, yes, it is. Unpredictable, yes, you don't know what the students would say. Heterogeneous, yes, because the students would express themselves differently. So maybe one of them would show you kind of a study that was done in a certain year and shows you the results to prove their point, especially if you give them enough time to prepare. Contingent, yes, because everything should be or has to be connected. And engaging, yes, if the topic is relevant to the students and their background, knowledge and culture and their interests, then you would be really invested in it. All right, very just one idea. And the goal of the session is not actually to just to give you like 100 exercises to apply with the students, but it's mainly to evaluate the exercise that you can use. So maybe you can see some task and you say, no, I can't use this because it's not reciprocal, it's not this, it's not that. However, it would help me with this and that. So those features are just for you to evaluate exercises, whether you design them or you get them from a book or a website. All right, very good. So this is actually the end of our session today together. Thank you so much for all the great ideas that you shared with me. And I hope that you found it useful. So you can scan this code. You can contact me on Facebook if you have any questions. And of course, we have some questions here. So I'm all ears.
Yeah, hello again. Yeah, thank you for this wonderful session. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I was, hiding back, turning my video off, but I was looking at everything in the chat box, and we have lots of great comments on your sessions, actually. Thanks a lot. You are so helpful and so professional presenter. A great session as usual. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a million. Thanks a lot. Very good session. Thank you. It was a great workshop. Thank you for your effort. Awesome session. Thanks. Thank you, dear Aya. Yeah, lots of familiar names here on the chat box. Thank you for a very interesting session. Yeah, great ideas actually. Great. So there are a lot of questions also in the chat box. So let's go through them. Just a second. Okay. Let's scroll down. Yeah, some other good comments. Wonderful and professional as usual. MashaAllah. So all of the questions were related to the activities discussed. and you almost answered all of them. So everyone, if you have any other questions, could you please type them in the chat box? Some people, are typing direct messages for me by mistake instead of typing them to you
It's all right.
and everyone. Someone is asking a general question. How can I attend all lectures using the Zoom link tomorrow on Friday and Saturday as well? Or you can watch the live stream on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. The conference is a great success so far. Thank you, Marwa. Marwa was a great speaker of the previous edition of the conference. Okay, we have a question here from Horia. I see the unpredictable would set a challenge for teachers. How could I work on a language that I might predict?
Work on a, okay, so you simply try to think about how you would have this conversation in a real context or in a real life situation, and try to think what you would say and prepare according to this. All right, that's the first thing that you can do as a teacher. So when you're preparing something, even if the book says, for example, the students are going on a trip and they're going to work together to plan it, and they're going to practice making suggestions, for example. So yes, this is something that you as a teacher need to study, but it's not the only thing. You can also think of other things that they would say. So for example, verbs like packing, off the beaten path, some other things that they might want to ask about. And so I know it's kind of scary when you're not certain what the students would say, and maybe they would say something that you're not aware of, or something that you're not ready to respond to, or maybe they would make mistakes because they're trying to express something, and you're not ready to clarify this. So maybe you can, if there is something that's unclear for you, you can just simply say, all right, I'm going to discuss this with you later. Or you can check this resource. Okay. But generally speaking, I shouldn't move to a speaking task and tell the students, you have to speak using this language. I should give them the freedom to use any language that they want.
Okay, that was a very good answer. We have some more questions here. Yeah, and it's related to your accent. How can I master the British accent? Because you speak British English in a superb way. This has a very long answer.
Well, just mainly listen,
Right?
but let's just say the general one, which is the very important one. It's not about accent. It's just about communicating the message that you want to. Just communicating the message, just conveying the meaning that you're trying to express. That's it. It's not about the accent. Well, if you get the accent, that's a plus. Why not? So if you want to get a certain accent, then one of the things is not everything, but one of the things that you can do is to listen to lots of videos in that accent, try to shadow and like record yourself, and compare it to the original thing, and you keep practicing. That's the main thing. But again, it's not that important. Oh, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's right. What's more important is the language level, the language proficiency, not the accent. Another question, Ms. Aya. How can I educate myself more about speaking assessment?
All right. Well, the first thing is like teach speaking as much as you can. All right. That's the first thing, because the more you teach it, the more challenges that you're going to face, and this would get you to think. That's number one. Number two, there is this wonderful course by IDP on IELTS, on teaching IELTS speaking and evaluating IELTS, or IELTS assessment, speaking assessment. So the course is for free. I believe it's a 10-hour course. Then you can just go there, study, and see. Like, you can get some ideas that you can use. All right. Those are two ways. You can also have How to Teach Speaking by Scott Thornberry, as far as I remember. So those are some things that you can use.
Okay, one more question. If I have a listening exposure and it's a story, a story of two parts, how could I deliver the speaking stage without consuming the time?
Like speaking at the end, and they said exposure. So is it like, okay, can I see the question? I want to read it.
Yeah, I'm gonna type it again in the chat box.
Yes, I got Ms. Rana Salim. Yes.
Yeah, if I have a listening exposure and it's a story of two parts, how could I deliver the speaking stage without consuming the time?
Well, that depends on the type of lesson that you have, because once you said exposure, the first idea that I got was text-based presentation. So maybe it's exposure, and then you would clarify language, grammar, or vocabulary, and then you would have a controlled exercise, and then at the end you would have the fair practice. And fair practice here, most of the time, would be a sub-aim. So it's not the main focus of the session. So you can get the students simply to speak with each other about like a story of two parts. Okay, maybe you can have like this kind of jigsaw reading task. Half of the students would read half of the story, and then the others would read the other half. And then you would go to breakout rooms, and they would work with partners from the other group, and then you would tell each other about the story. In this way, they will have read and they will have spoken about it. So that's one of the things that you can do. Or you can just have it as a post-reading exercise, and you just get them to discuss what they got from the story, whether they liked it or not, or whether they had a similar situation. Those are different options.
Yep, very good. Another question. I think it will be the last one. I can't understand how to use unpredictable into communicative tasks.
I don't get the question. Hello, I think I'm having a problem with my internet connection. Hello? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm here again. Back.
I think.
Yeah. So yeah, someone was asking about improving her speaking skills as a kindergarten teacher. What is the level should she have? Yeah, should she have as a language as a kindergarten teacher? Well, I think it doesn't need anything other than having a B2 level at least, right? And a good language awareness because you're the master of the sea, as they say. You're maybe so you're the guide for the students. You provide them with the input, and your input for them should be of a high quality, right? Because they get, the first thing they listen to is you. You're the first source of English for them. That's what I guess. So great. Okay. So far that's great. So thanks, Aya, for your time. It was really an interesting session. Can you name the course again? I think she means the course with IDP. So you can search on Google using the name IELTS Teacher Training Program by IDP, and then you
Yes.
can find the website and enroll in it for free. Okay, that's great. Yes, IDP. That's great. So everyone in the chat box, I'm gonna drop a link so that you can fill out to get your certificates of participation at the end of the conference, of course. So make sure that you type your email addresses correctly, please. Otherwise, you won't get your certificates. Okay. So here's the link in the chat box. And there is something I really would like to end this first day with. which is never stop learning. Okay. Yes, it's the end of our first day, but remember, education is a lifelong journey, and Educast is here to support you every step of the way. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another day of learning, inspiration, and collaboration. So everyone, I'm looking, and everyone here is looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Cairo time. Yes, you can, take a look at the conference program book. You can find it on the posts, or, I can send it to you here right now. Just a second. So we still have 3 more days. That's the pre-conference day 1. And we still have pre-conference day 2. And we still have conference day 1 and conference day 2.
Okay, guys, the internet, I think, is, dropped by Muhammad. So he has some internet issues. So he might, try to come in again. So don't forget to fill up your names and emails. And, if you have any questions, so you can type on the chat box. So thank you for attending today.
So everyone, I've dropped the links for the program book and um, the feedback form in the chat box so that you can fill it out. So everyone, try to fill the feedback form out because you have to do it in order to get your certificates of participation at the end of the conference. Again, let me remind you that conference or pre-conference day 2 will be tomorrow, starting at 5:30 p.m. Cairo time. We will have 4 presentations tomorrow, and on Friday and Saturday, we will have 2 full days of presentations. So we're looking forward to seeing all of you there. So thank you, and we hope that you enjoyed our first day.